Hi guys, and welcome to Angling for You. And today you join me on the River Aire, and it's a little bit different to what we're normally doing, but we are doing a little bit of maggot feeder fishing to catch pretty much anything that swims. I'm here with Mr. Richardson, and hopefully we're going to have a few silverfish. Now Matt's had a few already. I've made a few casts, just made a little bit of adjustment to the rig with a slightly different hook, putting just a little micro barb on. I was hooking plenty of fish, but they were coming off near the net, and it's the way they're going into the bait. You know, the bites are quick, and I was getting them to the net and they were coming off, so just switched to a micro barb. Fingers crossed that's going to do the difference, and we're going to start landing some fish. Simple setup. We've gone today to show you like a method setup, so effectively using commercial gear. I've got a Matt Parabolic 11 foot. It's got 1.5 ounce tip in there and 6 pound Maxima, and you know, that's really simple light gear. Now I'm using some of the Speed Cap Middy feeders, which I've got here, which are really good, to be honest. The interchange, the cap's what's attached to the swivel, and we can just remove that, dunk it in your maggots, and it's quick and easy. Allows you to swap your feeders around. If you want a slightly heavier one, or a slightly lighter one, or a slightly smaller one, you can do that, not a problem. Just using simple maggots. Got a B911. We've got, it is a size 14. Ideally we'd have a smaller one, but that's the only one we've got a micro barbed. And to be honest, when they're having it, you know, it's not too bad, and they are decent size. Some of these silvers that Matt's been catching, so fingers crossed it won't matter too much. I'm gonna not leave it in too long and do a few regular casts, because I've been out of the water just messing about with a few bits, so I do need to get that bait keep going back in. Like I said, the setup is my commercial setup, as you can see, so it's just sort of showing you today how you can still use that on reasonably slow flowing rivers. You know, sometimes you'll have to put a little bit more extra weight on there. This one's a 1 ounce that I've got outside. I mean, this one's a 42 grammer that I've got in at the moment. You know, we've got the new Middy rod rest, which is a simple small rod rest. It's really good for carrying out on these sessions, or equally for using on the commercials, but just a nice small rest, nothing cumbersome. And it's just nice to be out in the natural settings. That was a lovely bite. Whether it's still on, it still is. That's good. Only a little tiny thing, but it's off the mark, and that's what counts. Looks like a little dace, actually, that does, and that you can see why the bites are so quick. These tiny little dace. So a little dace to start the day. And the only downside of a little micro barb is just as I've got now, when I get it slightly stuck in the old net. Not having much luck with that today. There we go. But I did go to a single maggot and took that one. I had previously got double maggots on, but I was struggling to get hold of them. So I'm going to go actually back to double maggots, as the bite took a little bit longer to develop than it was doing before. But I have thinking that, you know, I've been out the water for a little bit of time, so that might have slowed it down. The rig I've got is super simple, which we'll go into in a little while. But it is a really simple rig. That is just a free running rig, and it just makes tangles and all sorts of nasty things that it can be a bit of a nightmare disappear. Really, it makes it an easy rig to fish with. We have got a line clip on today, just so I can accurately hit that clip and bring it round in front of me. Because if I hook something a little bit bigger, we can just clip off that clip and you know, fingers crossed we can be away. Now the difference is, as you can see, my rod's a lot higher than it would normally be. That's to take the drag off the water. Normally in a commercial I'll be telling you to get that tipped as low as you can to the water to see those bites, but it's completely separate to that when you're on a fast running or river. They're completely different. It just allows you to see those bites, but it also aids you on not having that line dragging and giving you sort of false bites. It's just nice to be out in a different setting, in the wild, effectively, which is different to that commercial. You don't always see anybody else when you're out here. A lot of the times it can be just you and nobody else, which makes it quite a relaxing place to be. And you're not waiting with 300 ducks waiting to try and get into your peg every time you fish to eat your pellets. Another quick bite. See a little flash of silver there, so another one of these. There's a real little in that one. It's like a little roach. You can see why we're missing a few of these bites with those small fish. And says I don't want to go in that keep net, so he's back to the wild. I'm going to keep these 2 maggots on because I feel that eventually when you feed in constant and we're in and we're out, I feel that, you know, hopefully the bigger fish are going to bully the littler ones out. Sometimes you have to do that to get a few of them and get them going. I have also got some ground bait with me, some Boland's River Mix, which I may start to put in there. I don't know yet. Might make a mix it up and just cap off the feeder. But that changing to that microbarb definitely done the difference with keeping the fish on. Although the ones I had on before were a better stamp, I'll be honest. But Matt's had some nice roach, some nice perch. Guys, this one is definitely a better stamp fish at last. This one's actually swimming and I can feel it, so that's always a good thing. Nothing massive, but nice little perch. And this is where your longer landing nets, when I always say you got these longer landing nets, this is where they come into play when you get these higher pegs. Nice perch. Just need to get the old disgorger to get this one out. Just in the corner of the mouth. In fact, it might actually be. It's a lovely fish. Stick him in. Can't grab him. Get him out into the net. There he goes. Stuck. That is dorsal stuck in the old net. But that's a double maggot, which definitely is getting the bigger stamp. So we'll keep that on. And once we've had a few more fish, we'll show you the rig and how sort of simple it is. The little thing I will say is though, when you've got the filling the feeder up like this, just make sure that you keep the tension on your line, just so then you don't get any wrap overs or anything like that. If you get slack line, sometimes it can wrap over the tip, and when you cast, you end up pinging everything off. So what I'm doing is slightly casting upstream, and then by the time it sort of rests, it's sort of in line with where I am, and that's how I'm doing it. Whether straight into a fish, just took that on the drop. Happy days. There's definitely a few fish here then now. That one must have took it as it were coming round. Not actually seen this one yet. Not nothing massive, but definitely pulling back. Oh, it's a bream, and it don't want to go in net either. It's here, son. That's a nice fish. I'll take them all day. Probably Matt won't, but laughing away behind camera. And I'll get him unhooked, and I'll hold him up for the camera. There we go. It's a lovely bream. No, definitely not. Be lovely if we've got some of them in a peg. So definitely the right decision to go to a barb duck, and definitely the right decision to keep at 2 maggots. Now, personally, I'd have used a smaller hook, but with the it being sort of summertime, and you know the fish not too much, but not too bothered about it. You know they're taking it without much problem whatsoever, which is what you want. And it's nice to have a little bit of a pullback off a bream, because obviously you got a bit of flow in a feeder on there. I actually thought it might have been a chub, to be honest, a small chub at first when it went round. Just watching that feed around, and then just gently put that rod down. And this kind of fishing is what it's all about. This is natural fishing. You need to think differently. You need to still be methodical like you do in a commercial, but effectively these fish can come from anywhere. They're not all in one spot, so you need to be accurate with your casting. Try and bring them into a certain area, and that was a nice fish. So if we have a run of those, that'd be more than happy with that. Right guys, have a little look at the tackle. So like I said before, got the Black Edition parabolic 11-foot feeder and the 3000 reel to match. We've got 6 pound Maxima on there, and the rig itself couldn't be more simple. So we've got one of the Speed Cap Middy, and this one is a 42 gram feeder. So they call it Speed Cap because you can take the cap off, that stays on the line, and then you can swap it in to change the feeders. That's running down to the main line to a bead, a stopper bead. Now that stopper bead is just slid over the top. I'll try and lift it. Just slid over a swivel which is tied on the other side, and then on the other side of the swivel is the hook link. Now we've got around 12-13 inches worth of it is 016, and it's Pro Gen Pro line, and that's down to a 14's B911 barbed, micro barbed, and we swapped to that because we were catching the fish but we were bumping a few, and it's not ideal scenario, and they're still hitting it at this. This is the bait, Boland's. That's what we're going to be putting in the feeder, and I'll load that up for you now. I'm just going to get 2 maggots. Like I said, I always use the red and the white. It's just how I roll. So red and a white, we just get the feeder in your other hand. Now this is what I was saying about the Speed Cap. So click off the cap, that stays in your hand. You can keep the tension on the tip of your rod to make sure that you totally don't have any wrap rounds or anything like that. This one is just dug into the ground bait, so you can see half that is full now of ground bait, and then I'm going to cap that off with maggots like so. So half maggots, half ground bait, and that just clicks on like so, and we're ready to go. So I'm picking a spot out there that's about midway across, and I aim for that same spot, it's the clip, and then we're letting it drift through into the middle. So the line will tighten itself up like so when it goes down to the bottom, and then you're just waiting for those bites, which have been pretty decent today. I've only fishing for a small amount of time. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a problem with the sound, so be interesting to see what happens with the clips. But what we're going to try and do is see if we can catch a couple of more to add to it. It's been a sort of 2 or 3 hours, and you know, it's not like a commercial, so it's not as rapid as it is and can be on commercials. So we'll just get these in, and we'll show you the net at the end, what we've got in here.
So yeah, I was just having a little cheeky afternoon snooze there. I've got this rod out. I've been fishing it maybe 15 yards out from the bank with a large pellet feeder on and pellet on the hook. Unfortunately, I feel like I'm in a snag. I feel the line just pulling through something. So yeah, when I got this bite, it literally just streamed off maybe 50 yards downstream with literally nothing that I could do about it. I'm really unsure which direction I need to pull in here to try and bring it through the snag. Say again?
Can't see it, but I've got a bigger net.
Right. I'm not confident that we're going to see this on the bank because I am in a snag.
Nice steady pressure.
It feels like a really good fish, Ben.
Right. Get the big net on then, yeah?
Potential that this isn't a barbel. Carp.
Oh. Interesting. Depends in it.
Come out with that snag.
Well, all my footage I've filmed today, I don't think I've got any sound on it because I've just seen that my battery's gone on my camera.
Oh no!
So it's alright. I can have a look back and see. Still catching fish, aren't we?
Oh, it's a barbel. It's a nice one as well. We're getting it in there.
Get it in. I get it in.
I'm not going to make the best footage, is it? That's for sure.
You just tell me when you're ready and I'll go for it. Have a right back that. Ready, yeah. Yeah, the net is going that down there, like 100 yards down the river.
I'm just going to leg it to the car. It's going to leave it. Yeah, thanks.
Right guys, so just in that we're going to leave him to relax 2 seconds because he's just had a hell of a fight. We're going to make sure that he's had a nice rest before we get him out. Right guys, so Matt's just looking after him. We've left him in the net like you should always try and do, leave him in the net for a little bit, try and do a big old fight that. It's a lovely fish, beautiful condition. Beautiful condition that.
Probably one of the best fighting barbel I've ever had, that.
I mean, that went off, didn't it? 100 yard down there.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful fish.
It's not the longest fish by any stretch of the imagination. That big one that I had on the Dern.
It is quite thick though, isn't it? Thick set.
The one that I had on the Dern literally went from tail to nose, filled the landing mat. Right, I'm just going to grab the old waistline because I am interested to see what this weighs.
I reckon, I don't know, 9? I don't know.
So it's an odd one because
it's
it hasn't
heavier.
got the length, but it is
heavier than you think.
It's a chunky fish. Right, I haven't zeroed these, so we're going to have to do this in
Mathematics.
reverse order, yeah.
So usually £3.4, aren't they, the net?
Something
Is it?
like that, yeah, it's £3 odd, I'm sure. Right, let's put it in a waistline. So I've brought the waistline down.
You right, Dinny Dant?
Just need it wet enough. I can do that with this bucket.
You want to zero it on that?
Yeah.
So we're zeroed off. It's definitely a fight of this one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lively.
What's your bets, Matthew?
I think £8.5 is what I'm going for.
Yeah, I'm at thoughts with that. Oh mate, that's about as close a guess as you can get. about 3 ounce. 8, 9.
8, 9.
No, 1 ounce off guessing. Yeah, that's about as good an accurate guess as you can get. So what we're going to do, guys, just going to get a little quick pip for Matt and then we'll get her back. Right guys, sorry again. Playing about with the sound. Hopefully you just saw the net, and you know, it's been a nice little session. You know, not millions of fish, but again, it's, you know, we're on the river here, we're fishing natural venues, but a lovely little session, couple of hours. Really enjoyed it, and you know, it's just a lovely thing to do is get on the river, and it's first time in a long time, if ever actually, I've been on here with my commercial gear, and that's only due to it being a close walk. So thank you very much for watching, and until the next one, if you could join us on a Facebook group at Angling For You, 7,000 plus members on there now, all ready to help ask and answer questions, put on your photos, let's see what you're doing. And again, if it's pictures you just want to do, go on the Instagram at Angling_for You, and if you could like, share and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. And until the next one guys, thanks a lot for watching. Tight lines.